They're away together. This is going to be so close.
It's advantage Schumacher and Ferrari after qualifying. Now we wonder if the World Championship leader will come good again at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to the ITV studio. We have a fantastic view here overlooking the start and that charge to the first corner that is going to be absolutely crucial this afternoon. Roasting hot again here in this vast natural bowl, 15 miles or so from the Danube running through the centre of Budapest. Current temperature 30 degrees. Now then, Tony, Ferrari, they seem to sort of nicked a march a bit on McLaren in qualifying anyway. How have they managed to do that?
Well, they've worked very hard, so have McLaren. What they had is drivability problem with the engine, which they've worked on. Aerodynamics, they felt they were lagging behind, they've worked on that, and they seem to have made up that difference. What we have to find out is whether Ferrari is going to be able to use its tyres properly. Remember, it degraded its tyres very badly in France, and that's the big question mark today with the heat, you know, these high temperatures affecting the tyres. And when we've watched Schumacher relaxing around this place, especially in qualifying, saving tyres, he looks strong and he looks very, very confident. Behind the mask, who knows?
Tyre degradation a big problem around here, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Ron Dennis in particular has been talking about it. I spoke to the Jaguar team on the way over just before. Bridgestone said it's not quite so bad this year. They said, well, look, it still is. Some will go with scrubbed fronts, some will go with new ones. James will no doubt bring us up to speed on that.
Absolutely. Let's have a word about David Coulthard. Quickest in the morning warm-up and on the front two rows again. So consistent in qualifying throughout the season.
Yeah, because when he went out early on, he got provisional pole position and he'd got an 18-1. I think with his engineer, Pat Fry, they'd gone in their own direction, whereas Mika Hakkinen had taken some fairly radical steps with his car, which weren't going particularly well.
Michael Schumacher, though, different class in qualifying. He would have been even quicker if, what was it, Frentzen hadn't got in his way on the way round.
I mean, he is, you know, the best racing driver in the world. He's absolutely fabulous to watch, so exciting at every point. Now, Frentzen did get out of his way there, but what you notice, the undulations, the bumps in the circuit, and how nervous his car appears, well, that is exacerbated by these undulations in the track. Just look at him changing lot there as he comes along and blasts his way into the provisional pole position at that time and made everyone else look a little bit silly, it has to be said. But he needs to do it here, he needs to win here, because we've got Spa coming up. After that, we've got Monza, high-speed tracks where McLaren are going to be really, really good. Irvine said, look, he has to do it, otherwise the championship will melt away. That's Irv's view.
OK, and Hakkinen and Coulthard just a couple of points behind Schumacher now, but the reigning world champion Hakkinen doesn't seem that happy with the way things are going here.
Well, I go back to France, before the Saturday night at France. He couldn't get the car right, he couldn't get the balance the way he wanted it. This was the same here, and they tried these radical setups. He went out early and got this one setup, tried it out, went back a bit later and got his way to third place. And considering last year, it was quite a contrast. Now, then David went back out, had another go, and he maintained then the second place, although he got slightly quicker. I think he got a tenth or so more, shaved off that particular time. But again, he's coming back from an accident in Valencia, quite a high-speed accident. And again, the steely resolve you're seeing in the guy. He's up there, front row, and the two fittest guys in motor racing at the moment on the front row of the grid.
Tony, we have to give a big qualifying tick to Williams, Ralf Schumacher and young Jenson Button.
It's very, very impressive. BMW and Williams, the way they're so competitive this season. Looks a bit like an old sort of First World War biplane sprouting wings on the top of the airbox and goodness knows what, but very effective. That car has been quite cumbersome, quite heavy on slow bends and on slow circuits. They've got a revamped qualifying engine they used in the BMW, and they've also got revised aerodynamics, which Jensen was able to use, and I was very impressed with Button. He was just 3/10 behind Ralph. He's never been here before. I mean, superb.
So there we are then, Tony. Michael Schumacher on pole for the 4th time in Hungary. That equals Senna's record here. Take us through the grid.
Well, what's Schumacher do? Is he going to go for it? Is he going to hang back a little bit? He's worried about the starts. Clearly, he's been practicing his starts. Coulthard needs to make the best start he's ever made. He's on the dirty side. He's been sweeping the track this morning during warm-up. And we've talked about the Williams BMWs. Barrichello said the track just doesn't suit him. Frentzen says a big test of man and machine today. Fisichella was blocked by Schumacher, complained about that. Button, very, very impressive. Salo in the top 10. Irvine here, big weight of pressure on him. Jack Nasser, the big boss of Ford, is here watching. Wirtz is recovering from his cut leg. He had an accident in Valencia as well. Truly very bad balance on the car. Now Deniz and Alesi had that big smash together at Hockenheim. There they are, side by side. I hope there's no fireworks from those two. Della Rosa has also said that their car is not suited here at all. Now look at the BAR Hondas though. No grip, no traction. They've been simulating that back at Brackley last night. Have they got a solution? We'll find out. Verstappen says just very, very, very bad with the car. And then at the back, the two Minardis.
12th race of the season. We're almost starting again. It is that close. We have 4 championship contenders now. Michael Schumacher, an uneasy favourite, a couple of points ahead of the McLaren hunters, Coulthard and Hakkinen, supported here by around about 25,000 Finns. Then Barrichello, brilliant winner in Germany, and we'll hear from Rubinho shortly. Fisichella, he has signed for another year at Benetton. Ralf Schumacher putting the Williams on the 2nd row. In the constructors, Ferrari and McLaren are going at it toe-to-toe. 76 points behind come Williams, and they're followed by Benetton, British American Racing and Jordan. That is a massive and disconcerting gap between the big two and the rest. More on that topic now from James Allen.
Ferrari and McLaren have 200 points between them this year, while the next place team Williams has just 22 points. All the races this year have been won by drivers from the top 2 teams. So why is the gap so big? And what chance have the others of closing it up? McLaren has been the benchmark team since 1998, when Adrian Newey arrived from Williams. His first design for McLaren was a revolution, and the others are still trying to catch up. At the first race that season, it was 1.7 seconds a lap faster than the next car. So what is the magic ingredient the other teams need to close the gap?
I arrived at a time when there was a major regulation change, which I generally enjoy. It allows you to do things that perhaps you couldn't do, or allows new avenues to explore. What happens is, with a new set of regulations, the best resourced teams tend to read it better. They have more research facilities, and so you expect to see a big gap to start with, and that slowly close up as, in effect, other people copy.
Ferrari have been there or thereabouts since 1997, and this year's car is right on McLaren's pace. Even though the chasing teams have closed up a little in terms of average lap time, the gulf between them and the top 2 remains basically a second a lap. Ralf Schumacher's grid slot today is only the 5th time another team has broken into the front 2 rows this season. Williams didn't expect to be this close to the front runners in BMW's first season, and once the engine's developed, they'll be hoping to find that extra second a lap.
I think, yeah, let's go for a good lap, and you've got a McLaren or a Ferrari in front. It can feel a bit strange sometimes when they're pulling away and you know you've done a good lap, the limit of the car, and they're still pulling away. But again, I think with all the engine manufacturers coming back into Formula One, including BMW and also Toyota, and Renault coming back in, I think it's great for the sport, and I think it really is going to close the gap up next year.
Last year Jordan were best of the rest, but they've not picked up where they left off. At this stage last season the team had 42 points, today they have just 11.
I think the Jordan team has got the potential, especially from next season. We will get the new Honda official engine, so many things will change. And we are sure that we will do a step forward, and for sure we will close this gap. We don't know at the moment how much.
Jaguar have fallen back from the benchmark pace of McLaren. Last year as Stewart, they regularly qualified in the top 6, but although Jaguar have one of the best engines in the field, the back end of the car is giving real handling problems.
We will do it. You know, how long it's going to take us, I don't know, but we will do it. Over the long term, I think we have more chance than anyone. I think the Jaguar name is going to really help us attract the right people.
So who else might make the leap to McLaren and Ferrari's level? Will it be Benetton with Renault power, or will Honda push BAR to the front? One thing's for sure, the top 2 teams will keep moving forwards as well.
So then the challengers all talking about tomorrow's, Tony, but having 2 really great teams is not healthy for Formula One, is it?
Well, no, not right now, but actually the back of the grid teams made the biggest jump over the winter time. That was because of the stability of the regulations. The thing is, it's not a case of the haves and the have-nots as it was before, because, you know, Honda, Jaguar, Renault coming, they've got it and they will close the gap. I think the people most likely to are BMW and Williams, and we'll have a top 3 next year and the others pushing to join in. So it's getting better all the time.
Why do you feel Williams are going to be the ones to emerge again from the pack?
Well, the strength and depth of their experience, because they're real racers, because BMW, I think, have been very impressive in their first year back. See here, they've got reliability in the engine now, and Dr. Mario Tyson, their engine boss, has now said we're going to concentrate on speed. So you watch them, they're going to be pretty impressive in these last 6 races.
But the big 2, they're not going to sit back and do nothing, are they?
No, of course, but the regulations aren't changing as such. There's only that window of the parameters, and once the others start closing up, they've got the budget. They should then close the gap.
Okay, Tony, thank you very much. Well, Formula One can be a very hard-bitten, a very cynical sport as well, but even the toughest observers, well, they reached for their handkerchiefs when Rubens Barrichello won last time out in Germany, his first win in 123 starts.
In a way, I have to enjoy this moment as much as I can, and I'm sure all the wins will come, but it won't be as nice as the first one. Probably up to now, I'm still walking on the clouds, because basically I've been waiting for this moment for such a long time that, you know, when I spoke to Ross a week after the race, he was actually asking me, can you stop talking about the race? And it was actually, you know, he brought me back to earth in a way.
It's taken Barrichello 123 races to reach the top step of the podium. No man has waited longer, and few victories have been so universally popular. Ferrari weren't the only happy people in the pit lane. Even Rubens' rivals were pleased for him.
To be carried by Mika and David on the podium was really, really a nice thing. It was a top thing. I mean, and especially from David, because we raced together. And I remember, like if it was today in '94, I said, hey, well, it was '93 maybe. What are you going to do next year? He said, oh, I have no money, so I'm just hoping that I can get a Formula 3000 seat. And all of a sudden, he had one of the best seats in Formula One, you know, and he developed from there on. So he saw that moment as a really, really emotional one for me, and just pay tribute, like saying, you know, I mean, he deserved it a lot earlier, because we raced together for such a long time. And in one moment my career was going like really fast and he was going down, and the other time he was going up and I was going down. So it was really nice to be there and spend some time with them, and just on the top there, he's saying, hey Rubens, you're heavy. And it was nice to be there. It was really nice.
The pair first went head-to-head in 1991 when they were the leading lights in the British Formula 3 Championship. Barrichello just took the title, beating Coulthard to second place. It would be a further 9 years before Rubens was victorious again.
We raced so close at that year, you know, and he won like Macau, he won Zandvoort, I won the championship. I had really bad starts, he had really good ones, I had really good pole positions, he had not such a good qualifier, so we really fight. It was really good. I mean, it's good that he go up the ranks and see a friend of yours, because yeah, he raced for McLaren and I raced for Ferrari. Maybe he has problems with other drivers, but not with me. I mean, we can crash and still talk. That's nice.
Rubens is now just 10 points behind championship leader Michael Schumacher. Mathematically, he's a contender for the crown, but in reality, team orders are likely to come into play and he'll be back in a supporting role.
I had a really marvelous conversation with Luca de Montezemolo. Jean Todt was really happy for me, Ross Brown was really happy for me, so they know I'm a title contender. But we have to work as I mean,
as things comes on board. I mean, I don't know if I'm leading the race and Michael is second. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Pit lane is open right behind us, just under half an hour to go to the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Ruben saying at the end there he's not too sure what will happen if he is leading and Michael is second. I don't think there's any argument about that, is there?
Not in my opinion, no, there isn't, but there's two views, because Luca Di Montezemolo was on our programme yesterday, and there's Rubens in the Ferrari saying that no, it doesn't matter who wins, you know, as long as we're going to go for both titles for Ferrari. What the Italian press wrote was Di Montezemolo actually saying, well, look, if you think that Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello are going to be allowed to scrap for the championship, you're watching the wrong movie. They're both here to serve for Ferrari, and the messages underlying there was that, you know, there will be team orders, and traditionally they always have had, as opposed to McLaren, who let their drivers go for it.
Just going back to Rubens Barrichello there, Tony, for my money, the happiest winner we've ever seen of a Grand Prix on ITV, and a very, very popular victory.
Very popular. Everybody inside the paddock, outside the paddock, and around the world was almost crying with him when he was on the top step. Through so many hardships, you know, like a lot of these drivers, you don't know the backstreet stories that their parents worked really hard and overtime to get them there. And he had some terrible times, going through all the times with Senna's death, the comebacks, and to finally crack it all after all that time when you don't think you're going to do it, it's joy.
Absolutely. Well, the cars are emerging out onto the Hungaroring behind me. It's very tight and twisty. Only Monaco, by the way, has a slower average speed. We always, though, get more than our fair share of drama around this place. The Finns come here in their thousands. Last year, their man delivered.
Nice one, Hakkinen. Eddie Irvine is up there. Fisichella is coming through. It's a bad start for David Coulthard and a good start for Mika Hakkinen. Pedro Diniz spinning out of the race. Here is Mika Hakkinen.
Well, here we go. McLaren have really read Ferrari's strategy brilliantly here. They anticipated Irvine would go long to about lap 30. They did the same thing. If they get this right, he should come out on the track in front of Irvine.
Fisichella out of the race. Oh, rotten luck. Irvine struggling. No traffic on that lap. He's got a mirror full of McLaren. He lost 2 seconds to Mika Hakkinen. 11 starts, 11 retirements. Another unhappy day for Zachary on
But Ferrari are playing the card first. They're going to bring Eddie Irvine in very shortly, and the DC's reacting. This is a complete turnaround from last year. David Coulthard and McLaren are going to try and pinch second place off Ferrari.
It hasn't worked for McLaren. Irvine looks in his mirrors, says thank you. Now you've got to pass me, DC. Oh, Irvine's gone wide, running wide in turn 3. That's going to let Coulthard through without any question at all. And the winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix, to the delight of thousands and thousands of Finnish spectators, is Mika Hakkinen.
Hakkinen so classy last year. I just hope someone's remembered to turn the lights out in Finland. For the world champion, Hungary feels just like home.
Well, Hungarian Finnish people, they think about the lights the same. Yeah, the language is the same, and think about we are like a cousins together.
They say that we have a same language, but we don't understand what they are talking about.
Understand each other.
Mika Häkkinen! Mika Häkkinen! Mika Häkkinen!
I think Finnish people are very proud of him, what he's doing and everything for our country.
He's cool. He's Iceman. He don't lost his nose.
Here is white. I like this.
He's always driving with his brains. Not like Michael Schumacher.
I think that Mika is the typical Finnish man. He's a little bit shy and a little bit quiet and he's not so proud like Schumacher is.
I have a message to say. First lap, Sumi out.
You're back with us at the Hungaroring. 32 degrees the air temperature, a sizzling 40 on the track. Well, the dash to the first corner is always a compelling spectacle at any Grand Prix, and today, as they head down there, we'll be watching one man in particular. That's today's pole sitter, Michael Schumacher. At Manicourt at the start, Schumacher changes his line. Both Coulthard and Villeneuve say that is dangerous and unethical. In Austria, he fails to get his Ferrari beyond the first bend as Zonta's BAR takes him out. And then a couple of weeks ago at Hockenheim, there is another early finish for Michael Schumacher. Well, what can we expect today? Martin has driven here many times, and he has been taking a close look at the pitfalls of Turn 1 at the Hungaroring.
So what are the problems facing Michael Schumacher this afternoon? Well, can he get through this, the first turn, for the first time in over 6 weeks of Grand Prix racing? His fellow front row sitter is David Coulthard, but neither of them have been making good starts recently. It's Mika Häkkinen in third place who's been having the demon getaways. But when you get down here as a pack, there really is only one line where you can find any kind of grip. You can try and sneak along the inside on this no man's land, as Barrichello did last year to make up a place. You can try around the outside, but it's uncharted territory and you're bound to lose places, as Coulthard did last year. Well, Schumacher cannot afford to run into either of the two McLarens. They're both too close to him in the World Championship. What he really needs is some help from his brother and his teammate to get amongst those two McLarens off the start line. We'll soon see.
Indeed we will. The World Championship, the leader then, looking for a bit of a brotherly assistance. We brace ourselves for another Ferrari McLaren set to. Michael Schumacher, by the way, he's one round here, making 3 stops. The latest developments in the tactical battle now come from James.
Today's race is going to be like a very intense game of chess. It's about moving the right piece at the right time, and the start is literally just the beginning of it. It's about strategy, it's about reliability, and as Ferrari learnt to their cost at the French Grand Prix, it's about protecting your tyres.
Our Magnico problem, I call it. I think we covered basically, and I don't feel we have any particular issue why we should not be able to do a good race tomorrow.
I have to have a really good start, because if I'm behind Ralph or something, I could lose, you know, just the momentum. So to be honest with you, straight to the point. I have to go forward and keep a really good pace. You have to look after the rear tires. That's something.
It would have been better to be pole, of course, because it gives you a good clean run down to first corner. But as I didn't make use of that in Hockenheim, maybe I can do a better job here.
Michael obviously has difficulties now to do the start and the first corner, because what has happened in the last couple of Grand Prix. David always has been a very aggressive and fast driver, so I don't know. I'm probably best person to look at it.
One of our guys should make a good start, and hopefully, whether it's David or Mika, the run up to the first corner will allow them to take the lead. Now, you know, Michael could choose to run light to eliminate that possibility and then dominate the pace of the race from the front. But we're pretty much prepared for any strategy.
It certainly is a race of many stops. Quite how many, I'm not sure yet. But it's certainly not a normal one-stop race. And tyre degradation could be quite high tomorrow if the weather's hot. So probably some flexibility in the strategy as well will be necessary, because you know, whether you're leading or in third place, at the beginning of a race obviously changes the strategy quite a lot.
You clearly can't put the drivers in a position where they can just be selfish and do their own thing. So we will have a strategy, and it will require, according to the circumstances that prevail, it will require our drivers to work together.
We're quite happy. Car's working well. Michael's on top form. So I'm looking forward to a race tomorrow.
So what does all this mean in practical terms? Well, I expect most teams to stop twice today, with the first pit stop around lap 28 to 30. But it'll be that middle stint of the race that'll be the make or break. A couple of years ago, you might recall, Michael Schumacher switched onto a 3-stopper and won the race, but I expect McLaren will have that covered today. The weather's a little bit uncertain, so as Ross Brawn said, flexibility is going to be the key.
Uncertain weather, a few showers predicted, but absolutely no sign of them whatsoever at the moment. Tony Jardine, how do you best guess the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix?
Well, obviously it's very difficult to say, but going with Ron there, it may well be that Ferrari did decide to go for a 3-stopper so they could get Michael off the line, and they also might do that because they're a little bit worried about the tyre wear. McLaren are not, potentially. So we've got this fascinating contest between the two top runners. And David Coulthard we're looking at now with his fiancée, Heidi Wichlinski there. He's got to make the best start he's ever done because he's on the dirty side of the track and have a go down the inside on that dirty bit, see if he can concentrate and outpace Schumacher, because Schumacher's going to be back of his mind. He's made such awful starts recently, too much wheel spin. You have to make it good, and there's Ralf Schumacher as well, fourth on the grid, his best of this year.
Thank you, Tony. Now, the latest news. We are in for a hot race, and Louise starts with details of the morning warm-up.
David Coulthard was the fastest man in morning warm-up. Pole sitter Michael Schumacher finished second ahead of Rubens Barrichello, Ralf Schumacher and Häkkinen in fifth. Coulthard starts from second off the racing line, so he spent time this morning clearing the dust from the track to aid his getaway. It was the same story in the pits. All the drivers were laying down rubber onto the concrete apron to give extra traction out of the pit stops.
The concrete is very slippery. Very dusty, and braking at the pit stop and accelerating is very slippery.
With ambient temperatures soaring into the high 30s, the heat could be a major factor for the drivers, leading to excessive fluid loss and affecting concentration.
Today they could lose probably anything up to about 2 litres. Therefore it's quite important in the morning to get on board anything up to 4 litres so they can tolerate more hydration issues throughout the race.
Some drivers have electronically operated drinks bottles activated by a cockpit button, but fluid loss is still an issue. The drivers can expect to be around 4 kilos lighter by the end of today. And finally, F1 Supremo Bernie Ecclestone has been granted the freedom of the city of Budapest, an honour normally reserved for kings, queens and presidents.
Queens, presidents and kings. I think Bernie qualified on at least 2 counts as far as Formula One is concerned. Heinz-Harald Frentzen talking to the German public there. He's gone pretty well here in recent years. 1 or 2 factual goodies to enhance your enjoyment of ITV's coverage of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Have a look at that top one. All 14 races won by cars, starting from pole, second or third, so you have to start from the first a couple of rows here. Mansell, the only exception to that rule in '89. Brilliant record for Williams. They won 7 last year, the only year not in the points. Coulthard finished 3 times in second place here. Number 2 car has never won, and neither has Coulthard. Alesi and Verstappen, the big retirers in 2000. Deniz on the back of Barrichello's victory, now the most experienced current driver without a win. Let's go down to the grid and have a word with Martin. Hey Martin, I was in the lift last night and a bloke says to me, he said, I know you, I'll get it in a minute. You're that Martin Brundle, aren't you? So you can forget Grand Prix racing. You're one of us now, big time.
If only I had your smooth good looks, Jim, I'd be away. But welcome to the grid. So 6 races to go, 4 drivers in with a chance of the championship. And any of my old driving mates I've run across today have talked about it's going to be such a hard race. It's so hot. And look, on Michael Schumacher's helmet here, he's got a drink straw there that's plugged into a bottle inside, a sort of a bladder inside the car. I've never seen Michael Schumacher having to have a drink in a race, so that is highly unusual. You heard Louise talking about it earlier on, just how much fluid they're going to use. Let's see if we can trip over a couple of these drivers that have got a chance of the championship. I don't know if any of them are on the grid at the moment. They've been drinking so heavily today to preload the fluid, as Louise was telling you, in the hope that they can keep some kind of fluid. You can't take it in during the race. It all gets mixed up with air in your stomach. It is so difficult to absorb it. There's no time, especially on this circuit of all places, to get that in as you're going around the track with all the G-forces that are going on. Mika is not on the grid. In fact, there's none of the top 3 drivers on the grid. Mika starts 8 metres behind Michael Schumacher here in 3rd place. I think the 8 metres is the average length of a Grand Prix ego. So I can only assume that's how they managed to come up with that magical dimension. Let's see if we can find Rubens Barrichello. I'd like to have a word with at least one of these 4 drivers, and he's already talking to. Can we talk to Rubens next? Yeah, good stuff. After him, well, I don't think we got because we're live, so we haven't got that much time. So can we sort of outbreak him into the first interview? He's live as well. He doesn't look very live, honestly. Is he from Brazil? Oh, that's okay then. So if I go in here, do you think he'll get upset? Are you live? Are you sure? Okay, well, look, we're not going to get to talk to him, but it was an interesting conversation anyway, wasn't it? Let's head over to, there's a couple of guys I saw wandering onto the grid, and we might get back to Rubens in a short moment. Chris Evans here. Chris, We're looking for somebody to talk to. I know you're shy and retiring and don't like normally giving an opinion. What's your view of all this sort of Schumacher driving tactics and that sort of thing, and Coulthard's move at Hockenheim? What's your take on that?
Well, the story in the pit lane is that Coulthard's going to try and take Michael out so Hakkinen can go past, and then Hakkinen's going to give the lead back to Coulthard. This is the story in the pit lane, but that's been going on for 24 hours now.
What do you think of Schumi's driving? You think it's okay? You think it's acceptable?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic, yeah. I mean, I watched him in qualifying yesterday and he was fighting with the car. I thought he found it easy, but he finds it just as hard as everybody else, but he throws it around. I think it's fine.
Yeah, so you're here with Jordan, but you drive a Ferrari on the road like I do. I mean, surely you want Ferrari to win today?
No, I do not want Ferrari to win. I want Benson Hedges' Eddie Jordan team to win. I want Heinz Harald to come in, get past the traffic jam and just sort it all out. Because Eddie needs a bit of luck. You know, he's got an angel now that he talks to.
Yeah, I know. He told me all about the angel and why, but I think I know who paid your ear ticket out here at least today now.
And who paid yours, sir?
ITV paid mine, but I'm sure they'll get it back somehow. But is Stephen Hendry around? I wanted to have a quick word.
Yeah, he's at the back of the queue.
Is he? Because we're having a job sort of... Yeah, he's at the back of the queue. That's a good pun. Good stuff. See you later on. Any idea where he is? No, we can't. Right, let's try for another driver then. Now we're going to get Barrichello. We're not going to have to queue up this time around. We're going straight in, okay? If I go down in flames on this one, we're all in it together, okay? Oh, no, there's somebody else there too. Rubens. So, finally we wanted to talk to some of the guys in with a chance of the championship. You're not where you would want to be on the grid, as you were in Hockenheim, but... what chance have you got today?
Well, if you think that maybe I only had a chance to be fourth yesterday, because this side of the track is so much nicer, I might as well be fifth and have a good start. So the chances are, you have to get on the train and off you go. Strategy.
Have you got the car underneath you today to be attacking like you did in Hockenheim?
Well, I tried to make it because yesterday it was very difficult, but this morning I was much happier, and I'm okay. Right now I just made more changes.
Good luck. Thank you. Back to the studio.
Well done, Martin. You got your man in the end. Michael Schumacher on pole in the Ferrari. He's been paying special attention to his starts. David Coulthard right alongside. Never won in Hungary. Mika Hakkinen, the Iceman, carrying massive Finnish support. History tells us don't look beyond the first two rows for the winner unless your name is Nigel Mansell. The Hungarian Grand Prix is next.